Hi, this is Carmen Soto, and I'm an ELAC counselor and instructor. Thanks for joining me today to get our learning spaces ready for the fall 2020 term. Now, this time last year in 2019, this might have been you as you were going to school. So, whether that was high school, whether you were starting at ELAC because you're a continuing student, definitely the first day of school can be a little bit stressful. Maybe sometimes it can feel a little bit of a drag. You don't know what to expect. You're a little nervous, but you would have been physically going to campus, right? You would have been getting into your car, getting on the bus, parking. And all of those great first day things, trying to find your building and trying to find your room number and all of that. 2020 is going to be a little bit different with new opportunities, but also kind of similar stressors, right? This time you might not be looking for a specific room, but you're probably going to be looking for your Zoom link and things like that. But the goal of this video is definitely to help you feel a little bit more confident, to anticipate some of the challenges that you might experience in fall 2020, and also just to get ready and create the learning space in your home or wherever you're doing your work that is best going to work for you. So that way, we try to control as many factors as possible to create the best environment for fall 2020 remote learning. So a couple of checklist items or a few checklist items before we begin. You want to make sure you have your class schedule available so you can distinguish the classes that are asynchronous or synchronous. What this means is asynchronous means that there's not a dedicated meeting time every week, and synchronous means that there is a dedicated meeting time every week. On our First Year Center YouTube page, we actually have a video by our counselor Genevieve Ayala that explains this more, so please check it out. Check your student email to see if any information has been sent about Canvas, any updates to your course. Canvas is the platform that is used for remote learning. This is where you will have all of your lectures, information about Zoom, syllabus, materials, but you have to log in, of course, to see this. So my recommendation is to log in at least a few days before August 31st, which is when the semester begins, in order to figure out when to anticipate in case there's any books you have to order or any special directions for the first day of class. Make sure you also talk to your family, roommates, partner, anyone who is in your household, just to let them know what your class schedule is going to be like. Maybe you can create a system that if a door is closed or if there's a sign up or if you have your headphones on, maybe it's time to not disturb you because you're in class. Um, there are only so many things we can control in the remote environment, but definitely if you can just talk to those in your household just to give them a heads up, that will give you more space to hopefully respect the time that you need for your online courses. Identify spaces where you can learn, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this in the next few slides, but this is super helpful just so that you know what space is going to work for you as you're engaging in your courses. Gather learning materials and supplies, and of course, develop a routine. Um, you definitely don't have to worry about getting to school super early or missing a bus or getting gas before you have to leave for school, but you just should definitely still have a routine. If I start class at 9 a.m., it's not the best for me to just get out of bed at 8:50, right? You want to try to get yourself mentally prepared, um, get ready, dress up as if you were going to go to class, shoes optional probably though. And definitely you want to feel well rested, have something to eat, have some water near you, have what you need near you so you're not scrambling as you're trying to get to class. And of course, our classes begin Monday, August 31st. So depending on when you're watching this video, that could be tomorrow or that could be in a couple of weeks. So think about the technology that you're going to need for your classes. You can use a phone, you can use a computer or a laptop, or you could use a tablet. And as you start building your learning space, you're going to, of course, want that technology near you. So in this case, I've identified a desk for my technology. And you want to make sure you have your chargers nearby. And if you don't have an outlet nearby, make sure your items are charged. You don't want that dreaded 5% left if you are in the middle of a quiz or if you're in the middle of a lecture. So if you try to anticipate some of these things ahead of time, Next, in case you don't have a desk, feel free to get a laptop tray. So a laptop tray will be super helpful because you can get one that just has something a little bit more simple where it has kind of like a pillow on the bottom and then a flat surface for your laptop to sit or your tablet to sit. You can use this, from your bed, from your couch, on the floor, whatever spaces are accessible to you, but it allows you to get in the zone of having like a flat surface so that way your technology is not fumbling around. Also, these items are portable, meaning you can move locations if you need to, which is super helpful in case maybe like it gets too hot in a certain area, or maybe you need to be closer to the internet and you can just travel easily with a laptop tray. This is another example of someone using one from a couch. As you can see, most of these also have extra space. If you need like space for a mouse or to have your phone handy or things like that, if you're using like multiple screens. Next, you're going to want to have your textbooks. So in this image, I have like a physical textbook. So some of you might rent them or purchase them, and then they would be mailed or picked up. You would have your textbooks handy. Now, say you have electronic books or readings you have to have up. That's also nice to just have them open up and tabbed on your tech device. That way it's open whenever you need it. Next, you want to have headphones. This is super recommended. I use headphones when I work with students over our counseling appointments, and I plan to use them when I lecture for my Counseling 40 class that I'm teaching. Shout out if you happen to be in my class. This helps just to create your environment. Even just the act of putting on your headphones is going to make you mentally prepared and kind of like turn on the learning space. This also helps for increased concentration and sound quality. Like I can say for sure on my computer, the sound is not as great, the microphone is not as great. So at least the sound you could control from the speaker. And that'll be good to have the headphone. And then some headphones also have a mic attached to it, so that's helpful too. So that way people in your class can hear you clearly. So now we have our headphones on our desk. Next, a multi-subject notebook. So I want you to imagine that the screen that you're using, whether that's your phone, your laptop, computer, your tablet, I want you to imagine that that's the board in your classroom. So you wouldn't be at the board like writing your notes, right? Because then you can't see what's happening. So you want to instead have an external notebook where you're actually writing down your notes. And then later on, of course, if you want to then type them up to review them, then that's fine. But I think it will be really helpful to have a notebook so you can write down your notes. Now, if you cannot, there's obviously other ways to take notes as well. But if you are able to use a notebook, then what you can do is dedicate one notebook per subject, or you can have a multi-subject notebook where, say, you section off 2 sections for math, and then another section, maybe 2 sections for English, and then one more section for your counseling class or for communications or whatever other classes you're taking. It helps keep your notes all in one place while still keeping them divided. And say you have like a huge 500-page notebook, but it's not divided, you can use little divider tabs to do it on your own. The point is not to buy a lot of fancy new school materials. Of course, if you can, go ahead, enjoy. But I like to definitely repurpose what I already have. So you can already use an existing notebook and just kind of update it for the year. Also, this allows you to focus directly on notes as opposed to fumbling around on like, oh, my Google Docs is open and I'm taking notes on a Word document and all of this. So it's really helpful. And again, you get to keep everything in one space. So we have our notebook on our desk. Next, I definitely recommend having some sort of planner, calendar, or journal. Here are some images of what that could look like. You can have ones with daily entries, weekly entries, or monthly entries. This is basically just for you to have a central area where you can write your to-do list, your important assignments, reminders, and to have that all in one place. And then it's nice because once you're done with something, you can check it off. I know on Canvas, you will have an opportunity to be able to see like your class calendar, but this will allow you to see like to actually write in your class calendar for all of your classes. So you can see, oh, I have 2 exams on the same day, or I have papers due on the same day, or something like that. If you don't have a planner, you can definitely make your own. There are free printables available from a website called passionplanner.com. Super helpful. It's what I use. So I definitely recommend just kind of seeing what's available online for free and making it work for you. Now our planner's on our desk as well. Next, this is an obvious one. Make sure you have writing utensils and other supplies that you might need for your class. So pens, pencils, highlighters, markers. Some of you like to write, on index cards when you're reviewing for courses, or markers of different colors to like delineate certain notes. Post-its are super helpful for reminders. Divider tabs or book flags, especially if you're renting textbooks and you can't write in them. Book flags are super helpful. So are post-its, as I mentioned, index card, any sort of organizers, a little pencil pouch. In this case, I'm going to use a cup to put my pens just so that I have them handy. And then you might find yourself needing some other items like a wireless mouse potentially, but this is not, you don't absolutely have to have this. An external hard drive or a USB, super helpful if you're sharing technology with other people in your household. So that way, documents that you were saving on the computer don't go missing. And then you just kind of have peace of mind that you know everything is backed up. You also might need a webcam depending on your class. So this is also recommended. And then think about what else you might need, like water, for example. It's been pretty hot, having snacks. Like if I have classes back to back to back, it's nice to just have snacks handy if you need them. And then think about what other items you might need according to your syllabus. So now we're going to review our space. What did I add here? I added some water, a banana, but everything else is pretty much the same. I personally love Post-its, so I'm going to have some Post-its, and I'm using a wireless mouse just because it's a little bit easier for me, for my comfort level to use one. But everything else is pretty standard. What's missing? So let's see. Let's make our space a little bit more unique to us. So let's think about what else you might need. And let's modify this. So as you can see, I've moved some stuff around on my desk. I'm gonna add a lamp because where I work is very dark, so a lamp is super helpful. Next, I'm gonna make sure I have my coffee in the morning because that makes me feel energized and good and ready for class. I'm gonna have a fan because where I work is super hot, so having a fan will keep me cool and be able to concentrate. I'm gonna make sure that my desk or my laptop tray is near the internet, just to make sure I maximize the signal and try to control the internet as much as possible. And then of course I needed a chair, so I found a chair. And then, of course, you have your ideal space, but what can still happen? Someone in your household might start yelling, calling out your name, forgetting that you're in class, maybe saying, like, oh, it's breakfast time, it's dinner time, it's lunchtime, whatever. You might have your dog who loves to sit next to you, but maybe barks at any sound that your dog that he or she hears. So that would be something important to think about. You also might have a sister or a neighbor that just loves blasting their music at noon. If you need to close a window or something, that fan is going to be super handy. You also might have someone in your household, maybe your desk space is in the kitchen, so a blender could go off in the middle of class. That's where having the mute button is super helpful to know how to operate that on Zoom. You also might have younger siblings or children or other people at your house that make a lot of noise. So all of these things could happen, and on top of that, you could have slow internet, and these things are gonna happen. So take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. Try to focus on what you can control. Communicate with your instructor if you need any help. Communicate with your peers. Ask for help if you need to. Practice patience, flexibility, and kindness. You might not be experiencing a lot of the distractions that I just talked about, but people in your class might be experiencing that. Your instructor might be experiencing that. So it's truly being kind during this time is super important. Talk to those around you, let them know what's happening, let them know how they can help you. Explore different learning spaces in case you need to move around. Keep them organized, right? Just to um, not have so much stress, if you're looking for something at the last minute. Identify resources such as low cost internet, low or no cost internet, laptop scholarships, things like that. And then create an on the go desk. So that way you feel like you can move and kind of change locations if you need to. So your backpack probably would still be helpful for here just to keep your materials organized. And of course, do your best. So here is the final list of everything that you need for your remote learning for fall 2020, a learning space, technology, headphones, notebooks, your calendar, your planner, your journal, your note-taking materials, any preferred items like the wireless mouse, for example, of course, snacks and hydration, and then anything else you might need for your courses. And remember, With some creativity, with flexibility, you can make anything work. Welcome to ELAC. I'm so excited you joined me today for this video, and I hope it helps you feel a little bit more confident as you go into fall 2020. Hope to see you soon. Bye.